Hello, welcome to Today in History. Exciting one today, the 26th of August. Let's get rolling. Let's get cracking. So, in our usual tradition, we roll back the blind to the year 1676. And this guy pictured here, you might recognize him if you're British. If not, his name is Robert Walpole. Born on this day in 1676 in Houghton, Norfolk, England. England, of course, for those of you who do not know, is in the United Kingdom. He was Britain's first de facto prime minister, or you could just say he was Britain's first prime minister. De facto means, not necessarily legally. But yeah, so he was, in fact, that's the literal translation of de facto. So in fact, in reality, he was Britain's first prime minister, also widely regarded as one of the greatest politicians in British history. He served Britain during the years 1721 to 1742. Died at the age of 68 on the 18th of March 1745. So that's Robert Walpole. Let's move on to the year 1907. On this day, Harry Houdini escapes from chains underwater at Aquatic Park in 57 seconds. Harry Houdini was a Hungarian-born American illusionist and stunt performer. He was noted for his sensational escape acts. He first attracted notice in vaudeville in the US and then as Harry Handcuff Houdini on a tour of Europe, where he challenged police forces to keep him locked up. Soon he extended his repertoire to include chains, ropes slung from skyscrapers, straitjackets underwater, and having to escape from and hold his breath inside a sealed milk can with water in it. Wow. So that's Harry Houdini pictured here with chains around him, his neck and his arms and one leg with weights also. Presumably this was one of the underwater stunts that he was preparing himself for. Interesting. 1910. What happened on this day? Mother Teresa was born. The famous Mother Teresa. The woman with the great heart. The compassionate Mother Teresa. So let's read a bit about her. Her full name is Mother Teresa Bojaxiu, pictured here, feeding a young boy in Calcutta. She was honored in the Catholic Church as Saint Teresa of Calcutta, who was an Albanian Indian Roman Catholic nun and missionary. She was born in Skopje, now the capital of North Macedonia. Guys, if you're from that part of the world, leave a comment here, especially about the pronunciation of Skopje. I suspect it's not quite pronounced that way. So if you know what the correct pronunciation is, just drop a comment. That would be very, very much appreciated. So she was born in Skopje, now the capital of North Macedonia, then part of the Kosovo Vilayet of the Ottoman Empire. After living in Skopje for 18 years, she moved to Ireland and then to India, where she lived for most of her life. So this is Mother Teresa for you. Saint Mother Teresa, born on this day in the year 1910. 1951 on this day, what happened? This movie, An American in Paris, premiered on this day. The music was by George Gershwin, or is by George Gershwin. Obviously, the movie, you can still watch it today. And it was directed by Vincente Minnelli, starring Gene Kelly, who I guess is pictured here in the black trousers and white shirt, and Leslie Caron. Was it the other way around? Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly was a guy, yeah, and Leslie Caron. Premieres in London, Academy Awards Best Picture. So if you know who is who, let me know. I'm not quite sure. Gene Kelly, famous name. I think that's a guy. Anyway, so premiered in Paris on this day. Premieres in London, I beg your pardon, on this day. So let's move on to it. Also won an Academy Awards Best Picture in 1952. So that's about American in Paris, which premiered on this day in London. 1968, my favorite Beatles song was released on this day. Hey Jude. Hey Jude. Beautiful song. Go check it out, guys, if you haven't heard it before. So this was the day it was released in 1968. And it was the Billboard Song of the Year for 1968. Billboard 10th biggest song of all time in 2013. Wow, that is awesome. 10th biggest song of all time. Wow. So, the Beatles for you. They released Hey Jude on this day in 1968. 1959, on this day, the British Motor Corporation introduces a Morris Mini Minor designed by Alec Isigonis. It was only 10 feet long but seated 4 passengers. So that's a picture of the Morris Mini Minor, or the Morris Mini, popularly known as a Mini, cute car, not the prettiest, but cute. Yeah, you still find these models on this model on British roads today. I see quite a few knocking about, as we would say in these parts. Okay, 1971. What happened on this day in 1971? Now, history was made on this day because this guy called Bobby Orr signs a 5-year contract with the Boston Bruins. And that's not what made history. I'll tell you what made the history on this day. This contract was the first $1 million contract in NHL history. So, did I just say history? NHL history. NHL stands for the National Hockey League. So this guy, Bobby Orr, made history on this day in 1971. Last but not least, you go back to this guy. Quite admire him, He seems to be always smiling, cheerful guy. And I'll stop your suspense or end your suspense now. His name is Bill Clinton, former US president. So on this day in 1996, President Bill Clinton signs welfare reform into law, representing a major shift in welfare policy. That's Bill Clinton for you. On this day, he signs the welfare reform into law. On that note, we call it quits and Today in History. If you've enjoyed watching this, consider giving me a thumbs up and also subscribing by clicking the notification bell. Now, when you do that, you're going to receive updates of my video uploads. It also helps the algorithm as well, and so that YouTube is able to tailor this video to those who are looking for stuff like this, historical information. Okay, thanks guys. It's been nice hanging out with you today. I look forward to hanging out with you again tomorrow when I bring another edition of Today in history. That would be for the 27th of August. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. Stay safe, and I shall see you tomorrow for Today in History. Bye-bye.